Hello, and welcome to a quick run through of the Svix Webhooks service. So let's get started. The first step in every Svix integration is to create what we call a consumer application. A consumer application is essentially a one-to-one mapping to each one of your customers. The way to think about it is when you want to send a webhook to somewhere, you're going to send it to a consumer application. So let's copy paste that, put it in a terminal. As you may have noticed, we created an identifier on the Svix end when we created the application. But also we passed a UID. So a UID is a user-defined ID. Every Svix entity supports it. And essentially gives you the ability to use your own existing IDs throughout the Svix API without having to do any database migration and store any Svix identifiers on your end. The second step of every Svix integration is to send a message. That's what we're here for. So let's look at this API. When you send a message, you send it to a specific app ID. Here we use the UID from the previous step. You set the type of the event. Here we did invoice paid, but you can put whatever you want. And then afterwards, we put the payload. Again, you fully control the payload. You can put whatever you want there. So let's copy paste that, put in the terminal. And that's it. That's the extent of a Svix integration. As you may have noticed though, we haven't subscribed to any webhooks, so we only send it to Svix. So to do that, there are two main ways. One, using our APIs. Everything I'm going to show you in a moment is going to be driven by our APIs and SDKs, and you can rebuild it yourself or have an API-driven workflow. The other way is using what we call the Consumer Application Portal. So a Consumer Application Portal is a pre-built UI that you can embed in your own UI, fully customize, white label, really make it feel like your own, and really give your customers the ability to manage your webhooks there. So in this example, let's imagine that this is your website. People come to your website, nothing to do with Svix. They log in, username, password, nothing to do with Svix. Go to the settings page, nothing to do with Svix. And when they click on the webhooks portal, at that point, you can embed this UI. So it's all the way from the top left here to the bottom right is the pre-built UI. And you can really, as I said, make it your own. You can change the font, the color, the sizing, the roundness of the corners, and make it feel like it's part of the rest of your UI. And this gives your customers full control into the webhook delivery and visibility. So let's see how it looks like. So the first thing they can do, they can create a webhook. So they can say, I want to receive events here. And they can choose which event types they want to subscribe to. So they can choose all the account ones and maybe all of the card ones and maybe not card locked. And as you remembered a moment ago, when we did the create message call using the API, we set the type of the event. This is where this comes into play. So if an event is sent with a type card activated, it's going to be sent to this endpoint. And if it's sent with a card locked event type, it's not going to be sent to this endpoint. Okay, so I already created multiple endpoints, so we don't need to create another one. Let me just close this. And you can see here, what's nice about this as well is that each of these endpoints have different subscriptions and different event types associated with them. So you can send an event and it may be delivered to 3 out of 5, 5 out of 5. It's going to retry to each one separately. So it really gives your customers full control into deciding where their events are going to be sent to. It can be different systems, third-party system, etc. And as we're going to show now, like also a great experience when it comes to the delivery itself. So this is an example endpoint. As I said, I created it before. Example.com is not expecting any webhooks from us. So, all of the webhooks are failing, which makes sense. And first of all, the first thing we see here is that your customers have, again, this is the customer view. They have full visibility into all of the past deliveries. They can filter and they can see exactly what's going on, which is, visibility, observability is always great to have, but for webhooks it's paramount because for webhooks, you don't, if you make an API call and it fails, your error, right? It returns an error or something, or just times out. But with a webhook, you don't know that you're expecting one. So it's knowing exactly what happened is extremely important. So they can go here and they can see all the failed ones. They can click on one of them and they can see the message that was sent or how it was literally sent on the wire, like the raw version of it. And we can see here that while it was successfully sent to one endpoint, when it tried this endpoint, again, not expecting any webhooks from us, it failed and retried and retried and retried and retried and retried. And they can even go here and actually go and look deeper and see exactly why things failed, what was the response, what was the status code, and fully diagnose, fix the issue. And once they fix the issue, they can also, resend this event manually, wait for the automatic retry schedule to continue, or they can even go back to the previous page, click here, and replay all of the failed messages over the last 3 days. And again, like redrive all of the events immediately. So observability, as I said, is always nice, but for webhooks, it really is paramount. And also, we hear it time and time again from our customers, when they switch to us, their previous system doesn't have something like this, they have to deal with a lot of support queries like our webhooks, like why did I not receive the webhooks? And it takes a lot of time to investigate and address each one of them. And the moment they switch to us, just support burden just disappears. Okay, let's show you a few additional things that I like. So first of all, security, we sign every webhook event using standard webhooks, and we also provide you with libraries and documentation you can offer your customers in order to verify those signatures. Everything just works. Everything just works out of the box. But we also support a variety of other authentication methods. We support static IPs, like a long list of things, MTLS, OAuth 2.0. So we really built like this long tail of authentication methods that you may, while signing secrets are the recommended way of doing it, maybe you have a specific larger customer that has different requirements and you can support them. Another thing we support is like throttling. Let's assume you can generate 1,000, you have spikes of 1,000 requests per second. That's not a problem for you. Your systems can handle it. Not a problem for us. We can handle it as well. But then you're going to bring it down your customer because they can't handle more than 10 per second. So what they can do, they can go here, set 10 per second. And what will happen is that you're going to send us that 1,000. You're not going to have to worry. You won't need to worry about anything. Like we're going to accept those immediately. And then we're going to buffer it on our end and send it to your customers 10 at a time in order to not bring them down. But again, it's fully transparent to you for all you care about. Like you send it to us and you forget it. Like we're going to deliver it for you. Another really cool feature is transformations. So this is especially useful when your customers want to send a webhook to an old system that expects a certain format, or maybe to a third party like Slack that again expects a certain format. So the way this works is that they can write small JavaScript snippets. So let's, for example, do this. And we can map webhook.payload.countID. We can rename that field to foo. Okay, let's run the test. And as we can see here, you see that account ID was actually mapped to foo, and this is the new payload that's going to be sent. Okay, I have a lot more that I can show you, but unfortunately we're out of time. So please, if you have any more questions, come and join us on our Slack community, or go check out the docs, docs.svix.com or api.svix.com for the API reference. Thank you so much.